Let's continue to reflect on the ANC's 6th policy conference and take a look at how the party is in relation to the rest of the continent. We're joined for that conversation by Professor Bheki Mngomezulu from the University of the Western Cape. He is political science and international relations analyst. Thank you, Prof, for availing yourself this morning. So the policy document under the theme "In Pursuit of Progressive Internationalism in a Changing World," the sub-theme there being the situation on the African continent, which outlines a number of problems that continue to plague the continent, but also a number of progress, or a lot of progress that actually has been made. Your assessment, perhaps, of the ANC's posture towards the rest of the continent over the years?
No, thank you very much for having me, Sister Do, and good morning to your viewers. Yes, indeed, starting with the document that was published in 1993 and signed by then President of the ANC, the late Nelson Mandela. The ANC, in fact, gave us a clear picture as to what the foreign policy posture of a liberated South Africa would take. Among other things was the issue of human rights, and then, of course, putting Africa at the center stage. And then since 1994, we've had a number of initiatives geared towards achieving that goal, which is why, for example, we even have the AU, and then we have the Pan-African Parliament, and then a couple of other institutions like the Africa Peer Review Mechanisms. So I would say that in terms of putting Africa at the center, South Africa has done a sterling job in that regard. But whether we have achieved the goal we had set ourselves, that remains debatable. And the reason for that is that we have made some successes, but in some instances, some of the promises we had made have not, in fact, been brought to fruition. One of which was to have one currency for the continent to make sure that trade was going to be easy and smooth. That has not been achieved. But at least we now have the Africa Free Trade Area, which is something positive that has happened. So I would say that depending on the side you want to emphasize, you will get a little bit of both. There have been successes, but there have also been some challenges. One thing that South Africa has been accused of has been inconsistency in terms of implementing its foreign policy agenda. I will cite just two examples. Both of them happened in 1998. One of them was when we were supposed to provide military support to the DRC, and then we said that we cannot do that because our foreign policy posture is such that we believe in diplomatic relations, and we don't, in fact, believe in using what you normally refer to as hard power, wherein you use military force to address any situation. So we didn't support DRC militarily for those reasons. But then same year, 1998, we then had of course, the situation in Lesotho, and then we ended up sending troops there. And then people were saying that our foreign policy is inconsistent. But then in international relations terms, South Africa was not wrong because there is something we refer to as a soft power. So we have, soft power, which is the diplomatic one. You have hard power, which is the one that uses military. And then we have the third one, which is called smart power, wherein you use force where necessary, and then you use diplomacy where necessary. So I would say that it's a mixed bag. Then we can just pick and choose which one we want to emphasize.
Sure. I'd like to pick a few that you have highlighted. Let's start with the African Continental Free Trade Area Act, right? So much has been said about it actually unlocking Africa's potential, etc. The policy document highlights the importance of it. However, knowing South Africa's position on immigration, the African Continental Free Trade Area Act largely depends on the free movement of people. SADC as a country is found wanting when you compare us to West Africa, where there's a free movement of people. So how will we achieve this when people can't even move freely? Goods won't move themselves.
You're making a very critical point. In fact, if we can take an example, we have just cited West Africa, but we can also make reference to the Eastern African bloc, the East African Community, whereby they said that if you have one passport to go to Tanzania, for example, then you can use the same passport to access other countries like Kenya and Uganda using the same passport. And now they're including other countries like Burundi, Rwanda, and all of that. So basically, then it means that there is still a lot of work that needs to happen. Back home here in South Africa, we have mixed reactions. there are those, including those in Parliament, of course, there are those who are saying that we should open the borders to make sure that there is a free movement of the people, as you have just highlighted. But then others are saying, no, we must keep these borders closed so that at least we control commotion of people. Then in that way, we'll be able to tell who is in the country and then who is leaving the country for security reasons. So until we resolve that issue, this free movement of people will remain a contentious issue. Some politicians use that for political gains and then, of course, do so in order to make sure that our national interests are taken care of. So at the moment, as things stand, there is still inconsistency in terms of coming up with a clear immigration policy because of these mixed reactions, both from the political side, but also from the general citizenry, where people are saying that when we go to other countries, we are subjected to strict rules. Why should we then open our border? So there is an ongoing debate which is not going to end anytime soon from where I'm standing.
On your point of human rights, the policy document reads, the ANC, together with government and non-state actors, must also ensure that it works with stakeholders in Zimbabwe and the region towards the ending of unilateral sanctions and the normalization of relations with key actors in Europe and the United States especially. Given that these are targeted sanctions at some individuals in Zimbabwe, has the party done enough to exert what you call soft power and engage their Zimbabwean counterparts in enshrining human rights?
I would say that some attempts have been made, but I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that enough has been done. Because if indeed enough had been done, we wouldn't be talking about this issue right now. And in fact, the ANC itself would not deem it necessary to include that particular section of the discussion on this specific policy document. So it means that something has been done, but a lot more needs to be done. One of the impeding factors is that one of our clauses, in fact, in our foreign policy agenda, we say that we respect political sovereignty of other countries, which means that as much
Professor Mngomezulu, I do beg your pardon as you are mid-thought there. If you can, please indulge us and stay with us.